right, gang, how we doing? Sam here with you. Happy holidays to all. So I'm going to get into a Bitcoin video here in just a minute, but before we do, just a little, I guess a little marketing housekeeping my guys asked me to do. So this is a new promo that we are offering for the holidays. It's very similar to what we did with the Black Friday deal, but so this is going to go for a few days. So if you're interested, this reasonable savings here. So it's 20% off the 3-month, 30% off the 6, and 40% off the full year. So that is something that you might consider if you've been maybe thinking about joining us and tempted and just waiting for some sort of a promotional deal. This is a way to take advantage of that. The 40% off the 1 year is probably the most popular. It really is going to save you some dough. So that's something to think about. So you can find details about that and look it over. It'll be there'll be a link underneath this video. You'll find it on YouTube, right? Okay, guys. So with that said and duly noted, let's go over and take a look at Bitcoin. So now this is the bullish count. How about I say it this way? So you'll recall from multiple videos that we've done here that this still is problematic down here. The fact that we have a very difficult time resolving the count here in a clean fashion here that's pretty typical of Bitcoin. It's very difficult to get the Elliott count to work, but the ABC here just continues to be a problem in terms of trying to build a case for this as a hard low. So I know we did several videos on that, and then my partner did one as well. So recognizing that this is suspect as our low. Now, that established, you look at what's happened off of that low, and it makes you want to lean into, well, maybe there's something here I'm just not seeing, or I've got the count wrong here, because there is zero denying that we have an impulsive wave, right? There's no other way to look at that. This is, call it, I don't know how you want to use Elliott language, call it what you like, but this is. Potentially, it's the start of a trend change, at least in the short term, right? So as an Elliott trader, we've got an impulse. All the subdivision is there, it's all good, but it gets problematic here because if you allow for the subdivision here, which is very clear, very clean, so we'd have to trade it as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3. Then, your eye wants to go, A, B, C, up we go for the 5. But the count is, much like we had the problem down here, it's suspect because you could count it. It's not clear. You could count it a couple of different ways. You can make a case that there's a diagonal in there, but it feels more like a 3. It feels like you've got this. Looks like you've got this, A, B, C. So as I look at that, my next thought was, well, if this doesn't finish cleanly here, perhaps we have an expanded flat, because even the A wave, it's very difficult to get a clean 5 in that A wave. I mean, you kind of, a little Elliott fudge on the corner. Maybe you make that. It's not clean. So you're already cautiously putting that A wave label there, thinking, well, okay. So could I have an A wave with a 3? Well, I could have a flat. So maybe we've got 3, 3, 5. So I started looking at that thinking, okay, maybe A, B, C. That way, that would create the scenario to where the 4 is not in yet, rather than the 4 being here and we get the 5 here, and this being some sort of an A, B, C into the 2. So I looked here and I said, well, okay, maybe we've just got a big ABC, so that it would be A, B coming down for the C. Right? Not uncommon, so we'd have an expanded flat. We've seen them before. 3, 3, 5. Well, all fine and well until we try and break down that C wave. Right? It just doesn't finish. It's much like the problem here. We can't finish it cleanly without doing a serious Elliott dance to try and get that into a 4-5. So I'm down here. I'm on a 30-minute, but here I'll even go to a 15. You just can't finish it. Can't finish it. So whether it's slightly different on different exchanges here. I'm here on Bitstamp. This is a tick higher, just barely higher. So we can't go 1, 2, right? You can't have a B wave on one exchange and a 2 wave on another. So this has to be the pivot here of what would be the proposed B wave. So coming down, right? I've got very few choices here other than 1, 2. This plays as the 3. I can finish with a diagonal into the 3rd. I can get the little 1, 2 here, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got a good 3. I got an ABC into the 4. I cannot finish this in 5. I mean, I don't. You know, you're fudging it at a level that it's just go. Oh, come on, man. I can't get 5. I can't call that a 5. I just can't do it. It's just. I'd be doing a disservice to anyone watching here, members. I just can't force that into a 5. So what do you do with it? Well, so your first thought is, okay, well then I got to be wrong, because what you might, you know, if you were trying to fudge it, maybe you'd think, okay, A, B, maybe I've got a truncated 5th. But then you look at the symmetry here of the 2 relative to the 5 and the 4. It just does not work. Does not work. So even if you tried to approach the C differently, and you thought, I had considered this as the 4. Maybe we had, because you can get 5 here. Maybe we have A, B, C. Doesn't work as well. And this is very problematic to call that a B, because clear as a bell, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This more likely to be the 2, because I can get an A, B. You know, even that is not pretty. Maybe it's A, B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you might be able to do that. This is your best scenario here for a 2, but then what do you do with this? Right? Are you going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Nah, it's too much of a force fit, right? I wouldn't want to make a trade or a recommendation for a trade off of that kind of ugly finish. So what do we do? Well, first thing is you got to step back. And so when I cannot see the count, I don't know where I am. I can't finish it, and something's not working. So what my suggestion is, when you find yourself bumping up against that, is to clear your chart, right? And go, okay, because what you have on here is going to influence your thinking. So I went to just a blank chart and said, okay, what am I missing? Where are the 5s and the 3s? Where are the things that I can be definitive about? So I did the same thing over here with this chart. Started from just a blank chart. Okay, so and I come back to, I think this is the count that works here. This allows us to finish this and deal with this issue over here where we can't finish. So before we get into it, so the impulse doesn't change. I am now leaning into this as 1, 2, 3, because I can get an A, B, C down here for the 4, and I think we hit the 38 here. So if this is my B, so here's 38, high probability for the 4. So then you got to finish in 5. Well, boy, that's an ugly one, but it plays as a potential diagonal. Now, if you look at it, I think you've got to work it this way. I think if we go 1, 2, 3, and then A, B, C. So I think we get the expanded flat here, because we've got to go A, B, C, and then we finish there. So we finish with a diagonal looking like this. It works. It works. So the problem is here. So because we have a diagonal, as we're clearly overlapping the 1. Get it right on there. So 1, 2. I got to get an ABC out of that. So I can get the ABC. All right. I've got my AB. You know, it's a bit of a judgment call. But so if I put it here, it looks like I've got a clean impulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I'm in a diagonal, I can't have an impulse there. So I'm more inclined to go here and think A, B, C, A, B. Yeah, I know, another expanded flat. A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 4, slight truncation here, or double bottom for the 5. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C. It's ugly on the 5. I know it, but I think this plays better here. So coming down. All right, well, here's the thing that is the biggest problem. Right, as we come down, this 5 is clear as a bell. I can't call that anything other than a 5. Well, it actually solves the problem, because what that does for us is, if this is coming down here, if this is the 5. Right now, I'm looking for an A wave, right? So remember, the assumption is here, I've completed an impulsive move. So with that 5 completed, I'm looking for a 3 to correct it. Well, I can't. So I have the same problem here. If I were trying to do this as I could do it this way: A, B, C. all right, which might be what you might first look at that. You have the same problem here. You can't finish that in 5. Yeah, you can fudge it. You can say, oh, maybe I have a truncated, maybe I've got a truncated 5th here. Maybe, but I don't think that plays as well. So because I've got this clear 5 right here, because this 5 is clear, I got to go with that's completing, because I can't complete here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A wave right here at the 50. Now, no, pardon me. I got to bring this up here, because if that was the 3 of an AB expanded flat, then that would have been our 3rd. But now we're going for a completed 1 wave here. Let me bring it down, right? So do I have one? Oh, I guess I don't. So let me put it in context. Thought I'd put the higher degree on. So that would mean we've got 1, potentially 2 going somewhere, 3, 4, and 5, just placeholders. Let me get that up to something you can see. Okay, so if that's, all right, so here's the idea. That's a 1, right? If that's a 1 wave, or shit, right? That could be an A wave, right? Considering how far we've come down. 1 or an A wave, all right? So because I've got 5, it's only one or the other, right? So either we're starting something or finishing something. If we're coming into this as a proposed 1, or acknowledging it could be a B wave, pardon me, it could be an A wave. 1 wave or an A wave, right? So just for the sake of discussion here, I'm going to call it a 2. All right, so, and we'll look at it as, before I'm done here, as a possible A wave here, because that's not out of the question either. So it all comes back to this suspect low, right? So is it a 1 or is it an A? All right, so we come off of that 1. I can get 5 into this low here. All right, now I have a double bottom, but the count subdivides much more cleanly, meaning I now have the reverse of what I thought I had at the top. Meaning that I think what we've got here, let me bring this down here, is an expanded flat going the other way. So here we'd have, this would be our A wave right here, right? There's the A into this yellow A. But then we've got to go into an expanded flat. We go A, B, C. Right, so what will that do for us? Well, it serves as the corrective wave structure, potentially, right? Now, I could be off my ass. I could be completely wrong here. But trying to follow the Elliott rule count and stay consistent with what we're seeing here and the kind of symmetry we want to look for before we put money at work, this seems to play better. So if we think of it that way, as a corrective wave, so if we'd still be putting in the B. Now, take note here. Let's see. If this is a 2, what do? We came right to the golden zone. So, and this, I've had a few comments from both members and followers on Twitter. When we go into the golden zone, what do we have? Right? We have the makings of a golden corner pocket right there. Now, so if we're going to go up and get that, right, so you know, this is why Bitcoin is problematic. So you look at it and say, hey, Sam, you've told me hundreds of times, it feels like hundreds of times, that if this low holds, I've got an 80% probability of making the median line. Well, that's absolutely true. Nothing changes there. So how could this play as a B wave? Well, B wave could go beyond the 1. So this could still potentially be in play here as a B wave. Now, so we got to look at that and say, well, if we're going to get to the median line, right, from here, now we're kind of, so if we look at that angle, well, we can't, unless it's going to go there tonight, where we'd get this kind of thing, boom, right here. It looks like well, first we got to get through the 618 coming from this direction, right? So that's going to be resistance, which is why I have the 5 here, right? So if we're going to do this, so this is kind of an interesting scenario. If we come here and we get this 5 here, well, so what you're going to want to think is, oh, 1, 2, the 1 is in. That's what the bull is going to want to think. And believe me, nobody more bullish than I. So, you know, I have to kind of remind myself of that bias. And so, wait a minute. Okay. If this is an A, so the A's in, we're in the process of putting in the B wave. B wave could easily go up here. Easily, right? And then look, we'd come down here. So the giant correction would look like this. It would be A, B, C. That's what could potentially be, now look where the algo target is relative to that 786. So this can still be a 1 wave, right? Or an A wave, right? So I got to keep mentioning that. This could still be a 1 because we could go 1, 2, and then go up for the 3. Now, what if it's an A wave, right? And I'm just completely wrong, which it always comes back to suspect of this low. Well, if this is an A wave, right, it doesn't change dramatically. A, B, C, meaning we'd have, so let me change this here so put it in context where we can look at the other side. So A, B, C, B, C, right? Well, so that's also not good news for bulls because what would that mean? So if I take that back out, let me go, see if I can do it in 2 hours. Okay, let's think about that. So if all we're doing is putting in some sort of a large correction, right, so I guess we could take this off here, right? So with that golden corner pocket identified, right, let me open this up. Let's see, what's easier way to do that? Okay, so let's use this as our pivot, all right? So obviously something significant happened here, right? We're going all the way to the low. All right, so if this is A, and we're in the process of putting in a more complex B wave, then that means the C still yet to come, right? Still yet to come, right? We could go higher, could go to the 50. We don't know where that's going. I could do something like that, and still all that's setting up is the next move down. Right, so hard for a bull to get overly excited. We got two problems here. One, it's the ugly finish on this low down here at 3,200. And then the fact that we're not making clean impulse correction. Now, Bitcoin is sort of established itself as difficult technical trading. I mean, at least I would suggest that to you. So if this is still in the process, if this is A and we're putting in the B, so this would have to go up a degree. Let's go here. Let's go to minuet. Let's go blue. Okay. So if that's A, then we're still just working through the ABC of the B wave here. All right. So you got to step back a little bit on this and say, what? Okay, because the easy thing would be, 1, 2, off we go for the 3. It's not clean. You can't build enough confidence there to do anything other than maybe something short term, a little swing trade. I'm not saying don't trade it. I'm saying for the longer term view, this is just a giant mess. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. For an Elliott trader, this is a difficult count to get some certainty about. All right, so where are the probability zones? Well, looks like whatever we're doing right now, we can see we've done 5 this way, we're doing 5 this way. What's not clean are the corrections. The corrections do not look complete. So this clean, this clean. This looks like we're about to go challenge the golden zone here. Looks like I can get a clean 5 in here. So how are we going to know? Well, we're not going to know until we see we need additional swings. So we don't have enough information. So let's just say, for the sake of the discussion, that we've got our golden corner pocket here. We've got that median line set up. So we're trying to go A, B. So if this comes up here and we get this clean 5, right? So it's either 1 or B. Well, to some degree, how far we go will be a variable here that will influence us. If we pivot here, and that's 5, now we're going to start the retracement, right? So what are we going to make so you can look at it this way. Right, so from here, if that's a completed 5, right, we can't discount the possibility that we've gone 1, 2. Boy, it's going to take maybe my partner can dig out the count there. I mean, he's more bearish than I am. If this is going to complete here as 5, based on what kind of, and we could go deep here, right? We could go, if this is the B, we're going to know based on what kind of reaction we get. So just for the sake of discussion, here's what's going to make this problematic. If this is the B, right? So let's just for the sake of discussion, we come up here, we stay internal, right? So from this high to this, whether it's here or here, either way, algo is not going to care. From a swing high to a swing low, if we go up here and it's internal, we're setting up the potential for this to just continue to move down, right? You can see, so it would be A, A, B, C. Now we're going up. That would put the B in. Now we're going up for the big C, right? Notice nothing here is doing anything to help support the idea that this is a hard low and we've got a dominant trend change. We can't go there yet. It's just not clean. Even though this is technical, right? So we look here and go, all right. So we come. Here's the 618. Off we go. Do we have it? Right? Could that be 1, 2? Well, that's where you got to make a judgment call as to about how strongly you lean into the Elliott count. Right? Because you could certainly go, oh shit, man, I don't give a shit. What are we, 3, 5? What do I care? I'm at a 618 here. I've got an impulsive. I've got a. How about we say it this way? I've got some sort of. You could even call it a pump. I've got a pump off of this low. Right? If you don't want to use the Elliott wave stuff, well, you don't have to have it, right? So we got all the ingredients we need here for a good trade. I got an impulsive move. I've got a corner pocket. I've got all of this leading up here, right? So you can say, well, screw the Elliott, right? That's not. And plenty of people will tell you that. There's no shortage of people comment for me. Oh, Elliott's bullshit. Well, I mean, you could just say, well, I can't figure it out, so screw it. Why do I need it? I would suggest to you that the whole point of the whole Elliott principle is to organize the randomness, right? So you get a set of rules that lead to probability events. Now, there is absolutely nothing that says this can't just go up and we'll go straight to 10,000. Nothing says that can't happen. It's just the probability of that happening is low, right? So it's too low for me to say, oh, I'm ready to buy here because I think the low is in here. I can't finish this low, and I can't finish this low cleanly to where I'd go, all right, let's load the boat here, right? So it looks like we've got a 1, 2. All I've got here is a swing and an internal retracement. That we can be definitive about. And it's technical, right? We hold the 618. So where are we going? Well, let's say if this finishes here and we get this, it certainly looks like it's trying to, well, then I've got another definitive 5, just like I had a definitive 5 here. So I've got my 5. So it's either starting something or finishing something. If it's finishing the B wave, well, here we go, down for the C. It would be the C, but it would be the B of the larger degree. A, B, C. Up we go for the C, but take note, right? If we go up for that C, what does that imply? Oh, boy, that's a big one. What does that imply? If we're going up for that C, it implies that we're still correcting and we're just setting up for the next big move down. That's the bad news. Bad news for bulls, right? If again, based on the Elliott structure. Right? Ignore it at your own risk, right? It's something to keep in mind here. So this will be interesting here as we're coming up here. Do we get through that golden zone? That would be a good sign for bulls. Are we gonna? Is the corner pocket gonna hold here? Are we gonna have the momentum here to get us to our 80%? Get it realized? We get. Well, look at the algo target is right there. All right, so we could easily do that, but before you jump on the idea that that's 1, 2, and then we're gonna go 1, we start to retrace. This starts to come down. You're thinking, oh man, that's pretty much textbook, right? So 1, 2, then off we go for the 3. It's not that it's not possible. I sure as hell would be disciplined about my money management, right? So if you were going to take that on the 50, I'd have the stop under the 65. Well, you can see here. Look, we get a nice little low volume node right here, right? You see that? So that will be a reasonable target. If they can push, if they can get down here, that's an area where you might look for some support. And a note, that would be the 50, a retest of the 50. Swing high, swing low, back to the 50. Maybe that's just a retest here. Look at all, well... Right, you start to put things together. Look at the structure here. Where's my line? Right, so here's right here. All right, so if we're going to go below that, well, we got a couple of them, really. So you've got, here's the 50. That looks like that was already hit once. Here would be, sort of last stand here. So we've got some of this structure. I suppose you could make a case for this as well. Here, it looks like that already came into play, but maybe that's just getting retested. Right, so all of those swings here are potential areas, prior resistance potentially now offers the support. You can see the 4 came right down to this pivot, and that was the support before we start up here. So 1, 2, or AB, or A, B going in, C still yet to come. Shit, right? So what do we do with this? Well, so my suggestion is if you're doing anything other than short-term little swing trading here, I would not be trading size, and I would be very disciplined with the money management. Just my suggestion here, right? So the bottom line here, I just don't think we have enough information to construct a high probability trade. So if you can't construct the trade, you see, wait, right? If you're not in the market, I would suggest this is not, even though this is tempting, this is not the right time to be adding to a long here, in my view, right? It's just I wouldn't. Right? If you're bullish and you like what you see here, right? Go for it, right? It's not what I would do, right? For what that's worth. I do think this will be somewhat of a tell. Do we make the median line? Because here's the potential alternate. If we don't make the median line, that supports this idea all the more. Now note here, if we're going to stay, let me go down, let me go back to that 30-minute and then I'll wrap it up on this, for 25 minutes. All right, so if we don't make the median line and we complete this, so let me get this back here. So let's get to our 3. The proposed, boy, that's where's your 2? And it's got to be that little ABC. So let's get you back on that corner. So you got to work some sort of a diagonal, ugly as that is, into that 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boy, you'd have to go A, B, C again. So let me pull this off. So are we going to go? So here's the algo target sitting right there. Now, we could go beyond that. Sure, we could. But if we were going to do that, just the point I was trying to make. If we come up here and we go, and this is our 4, right at the 38, right where you're expecting it, and we get to the algo target, and then we start to pivot, well, that's a bad sign for bulls, because remember, median line trading let me try that again. Median line trading principle number 4, a failure to make the median line from something like this with just a perfect setup. Failure to make the median line implies weakness. It implies a move equal to or greater than the move that preceded it that failed to get to the median line, meaning that becomes your target. Greater than or equal to. Greater than, and we're going down. So this will be a bit of a tell in terms of how strong this move is. Do we get the median line? Right, see, second target is right there. You can't see it right from this one. Right, second target is right there. So if we go 3, 4, kicker in the 5, still could be the B. Still plays as the C of the larger B, which sets up that. I know, it's not the count I wanted to see. I preferred that first count, but this doesn't finish well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we're either starting something or finishing something. All right, it's parts of the tell. Failure to make the median line, that's weakness. That implies weakness. So the next time this comes down, I'd be disciplined, right? So if you're thinking, oh, okay, there's the 5 is in, the C is in, all right, so I would suggest that's likely the B, but if you're playing on the idea that that's a 1, that we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2, all right, we're going to come down here to this outer corner, right? So you're just playing off the median lines. Well, first problem is you didn't make this median line. That suggests weakness. But if you're still sticking with the idea that this is 1 and this is going into 2 and you're going 3, 4, and 5 up here, I'd be careful about that too, right? So because if it fails, it's going to break hard, right? So so here would be a reasonable spot. If you break the 65, you'd be breaking the lower parallel. I would not want to be long at that time. Again, that's just me. That's how I would approach it. So, right, this will also be a tell right here. Do we get through the 65? Right. So we're approaching it right now. Now to get to the algo target, we got to get through the 65. So that will be an additional tell. Do we stall here at the golden zone? If we do, it implies more weakness. We don't make the algo target. We don't make the median line. We start to roll over. I'd be cautious about any sort of a buy here on that too. Again, I'm not saying don't trade it because it's technical. Shit, algo doesn't give a shit about the Elliott count. You'd be sitting right here between the 50 and the 618. I'm not saying don't trade that. I'm just saying don't trade it without a stop. right? Because this is a very real possibility, right? So I would tell you, if you're buying between the 50 and the 618, maximum would be to give it to the 786, right? Even then, you know, you want to give it, you're giving it from 39.60 to 38, $100, right? So it depends on size, leverage, again, all of the variables you're going to decide as an individual as to how you want to approach that. Me, I wouldn't give it much beyond the 65. You see this nice big, you got a lot of market acceptance over here, right? So market seems happy there. We get down here, right? It'd be a quick trip down here to challenge the lows, right? So that's our next area of market acceptance down here, right? We're drawing it all across. So there you go. Shit, I ran half an hour. I didn't want to be that long. I was going to make this short and sweet, but it's very difficult count. Very difficult. We need a little more information. We will get clarity here. It's just right now, sitting here Saturday, December 29th. It's got potential. It's got potential, but it's just not enough to put any significant size or allow for any substantial risk given what we're seeing here. It's not quite there yet. All right, guys, that's enough rambling. Okay, everybody, have yourselves a very nice holiday weekend. Enjoy New Year's. We'll be looking forward to bringing you a lot of new content in the new year. We've got a lot of things planned for you guys that I think are going to be helpful. So with that, I'll wish you guys a happy New Year. I'll be back. Shit, when am I back? I think I'm back on... I think we're back on Wednesday. So we'll have an update here. It'll be interesting to see when next time we do an update here, how this has resolved. Okay, guys. Have yourselves a good one. Remember that discount link is underneath the video. We'll see you after the new year.